We jump right into housing, something that every Trinbagonian should have access to, something that every Trinbagonian should feel comfortable with, and something that we need it. It's something that's a need in our society, a need for a people anywhere you are. And in the budget statement 2017, the Minister of Finance actually declared that the government is ensuring that housing needs of the lower and middle income groups are met in respect of a 2% financing regime, and they did various things with the qualifying income. And if you haven't heard, well, I've got two very knowledgeable people here to tell us all about it this morning. I've got Dike Noel, who is the Manager of Corporate Communications at the Ministry of Housing, and also Wendy Huggings, who is the Assistant General Manager of Mortgage Origination of the TTMF. So Dike is actually going to tell us what this cabinet decision was all about, and then Wendy Huggings is going to tell us how we can get a loan to afford the cabinet decision. So good morning to the two of you.
Good morning, Ria. Thank you very much for having us.
I'm really glad to have you, and to let us know as well, because I don't know how much of the population actually knows. I mean, I heard it when it came across the news.
Yes.
So we heard the cabinet decision, but what do we really know? And I need you to tell us exactly what that decision was and how Trinbagonians can now easier afford housing in this country.
You said something just now, and I think it's very important. We know it's the height of the carnival season, but we still want people to be aware of the information that was and the announcement that was made. So if you mentioned it also, that in the budget statement, the Minister of Finance announced that what the plans were. The plans were to ensure that the housing needs of the low to middle income earners are met. And last week, Cabinet agreed that they will adjust the financing regime, the 2% and the 5%, and adjust the income bracket for persons who can access those facilities. So it's really to ensure that at the end of the day, even if persons may wish to apply to the HEC for government subsidized housing or for housing on the open market, one, that they know what they can access, but also to know the provisions that the government would have made to ensure that they're not left out. And at the end of the day, the low to middle income earners are the ones that we need to ensure have access to affordable housing and have access to housing at the end of the day.
So what has it actually been increased to people who don't actually know the increase in the income?
Okay, so I could let Wendy take that one, so she could explain it one time.
Okay, good morning again. The program now has been expanded. I could tell you first how we got to this place. Previously, the 2% income bracket was $10,000 and less, and the 5% was at $30,000. However, if somebody was earning, say, $10,100, they would have fallen into the 5% bracket, and they would not have qualified. Somebody who was earning less than them was qualifying for more. So the figures were crunched, and the 14,000 limit, which the 2% interest rate is at now, is that point where there is equitable. It's more equitable. So that now, to access the 2% interest rate, your income cannot exceed $14,000. And the 5% interest rate, the 5% income bracket stayed at the $30,000 limit per month.
Okay, so how does one access this funding from TTMF as well?
The funding is available to anyone, be it HEC, customers, other government-related agencies who offer housing programs, or on the open market. So once a property value is 1 million and less, you can get the 2% interest rate. If it's 1.5 million and less, you can get the 5% interest rate. And note that I said the property value, because the interest rate is based on the value of the property. And for the 2% interest rate, you get 100% financing, so that no down payment is required. For the 5% interest rate, it's just a 5% down payment.
Okay, now Dike, there are so many people in this country who are in need of housing, who need access to housing. The government has actually raised the income rate, so it makes it more accessible for lower income to have access to housing. But how does one go about, you always hear these horror stories. Oh, I applied and I this and I that, and I'm not getting through. What, again, explain to us, is the process to go through to access housing in Trinidad and Tobago?
And you're talking about government subsidized housing,
Government
right?
subsidized housing, yes.
Okay, so government subsidized housing really targets low to middle income earners. At the end of the day, that's what the government's housing policy, that's what they dictate, that's what the tenants are to the low to middle income earners. And persons can apply. We understand, and the minister mentioned it last week, that there are 120,000 persons on the database. We know that that is a huge number. For some, it could daunt some persons, but at the end of the day, we want persons to still be able to apply. So you could visit housing.gov.tt and apply through that platform. You could also apply through the HDC's website, hdc.gov.tt, and apply. We also recommend to persons that they should follow up on their application. So if you've applied, don't just wait and say, I've applied for 20 years and I've never received a phone call, I've never got a follow-up. I think we need to also do our due diligence on our own end to ensure that our application process is going through the proper channel. The HEC has their process that they will follow in terms of how they will go about contacting people or notifying people once you've reached that stage where you've qualified, and they will contact you in that regard. I will like persons to understand that it's 120,000 persons on the database based on the figure. So, and of course, our housing stock cannot accommodate a home for every 100,000 persons on that database. So the allocation is really done according to the criteria, and they try as much as possible to stick to it. There may be emergency cases, but at the end of the day, the HEC, through their allocation process, they try to stick as much as possible to adhere to the criteria that they would have established.
Okay, now once someone has applied for housing at the HDC, how long should they give before they have a follow-up? Because again, you always hear horror stories, people calling and saying, well, they haven't heard anything, they haven't this, they haven't that, but the onus is too on the person who applies.
On the person who applies. So at the end of the day, you will not, if you're really interested in something, you will follow through. And you should try to follow up as, I wouldn't say every week, that's almost ridiculous. I would say probably every 6 months, and at least to ensure that nothing happens. At the end of the day, the database is an IT platform, and with IT platforms and IT and technology of that nature, little glitches can occur. I'm not saying that people may have fallen off of the system because of IT, but little things can occur. So we want to ensure that, every 6 months you do that follow-up, you ensure that your application is still there, your reference number hasn't changed, and all those things. People could send us a message on our Facebook page, that's the Ministry of Housing's Facebook page, and we have a client relations officer who normally will deal with following up on applications from persons. And in the same way, they could also just visit the HEC offices to just follow up on their application. So there are two available options for persons in terms of following up.
Okay, now Wendy Huggins, the TTMF, you usually, when people are looking for affordable housing and it's the HEC, the TTMF is the organization that one goes to. Can they, and maybe I should ask DK this, can they go to someone else, or is it that they have to go to the TTMF for these loans if they want to access loans for the housing?
I think Wendy can take that.
Okay.
All right. So the government's program, the 2% and the 5% program, is strictly TTMF.
Okay.
Persons who access housing, who are allocated housing, can get financing wherever they choose to go. However, with these rates, the 2% and the 5%, it makes it very affordable for the low to middle income person.
All right, so it is a TTMF based, but the rates are the rates different from normal banking rates, or?
Well, certainly the 2% facility, nowhere else offers a 2% facility. The 5%, the banks, we operate in a competitive environment, and the banks may, as well as they may not, offer a 5% rate. They operate under the mortgage market reference rate, so that it is your own credit and where the property is and so on, that also dictates the rate that you get,
Okay.
which may be different to the rate that DK gets, which may be different to the rate that I get. So, but for the 2% and the 5% program, there are certain parameters. It's for first-time homeowners. There is a parameter for the income, which is the 14,000 for the 2% interest rate, and the 30,000 or less for the 5% interest rate. I must mention that the rate, though, is a graduated interest rate. So the 2% rate graduates by 0.5% annually until it reaches 5%, and then it stops.
Okay.
So from the get-go, you know exactly what your rate, what your installment is going to be, and your rate every year until it reaches 5%, and then that's it for the rest of your mortgage. On the other hand, the 5% rate will graduate by 0.5% until it reaches the open market rate, which is currently 7%.
On average, how long does it take to pay back the loans?
We give our loans up for a maximum of 30 years to the person's retirement age or to age 70. The program allows us to go to age 70, so that, say, a 30-year-old can get a 30-year mortgage. A 50-year-old could probably get a 20-year mortgage if we go to age 70.
Well, I was going to ask around 40 to 50 because, you know, that would be around, if I had to apply for housing,
Yes.
you know, what that rate would be like as well. But DK, what are some of the other qualifications needed? I mean, this is for lower income, but some other qualifications, as she mentioned, and it rang a bell, first-time homeowners.
First-time homeowners, it will also be good, and it's targeted at persons who presently hold license to occupy or rent to own arrangements with the HDC. So if you know you are in that bracket, or we're speaking to you, you're a license to occupy or rent to own occupant, this facility really will allow you to easily convert to mortgage. The HDC and the TTMF, they have a mortgage caravan. They've been going in various communities, primarily the HDC owned communities, and informing people and encouraging people. Because at the end of the day, and this part I will really like to underscore, the quicker they convert is the quicker the government gets the money and can complete other housing developments to benefit other low to middle income earners. So, you know, if we could probably look beyond ourselves and think that, you know, we're also benefiting others by doing what we should do as per our agreement, which is to convert to mortgage as quickly as possible. And with this facility now, the revisions, it's easier. So they can and should go into the TTMF, have those discussions, and begin the process, because there are housing developments that need to be completed, and government can only complete them if they get the revenue.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's as simple as it could be broken down.
All right. So basically, first-time owner should not own another property as well if they want to apply for any housing, HDC housing, that is. And even if you're renting as well, you can apply to own that property as well and pay the mortgage rates with TTMF, of course.
TTMF,
So that is the arrangement that is being made. But definitely, this is, you know, I think it's a really great plan, simply because, you know, raising the income to qualify, you know, more lower income people can in fact get. So tell us once again how one can apply for HDC housing. Where can we go?
Right, you could apply through the agency by doing it with manual paper. That's at their agency office. But it's also good, you could do it electronically. The facilities have been made available, so it's housing.gov.tt. On the right-hand side of the homepage, the application form is there. They can also do it through the HDC's website. But let me just underscore to Ria that this facility is not only for government subsidized / HDC properties, it's for persons who wish to purchase homes on the open market also. So if you may see a home somewhere else that, you know, but once it falls, the value of the property falls within the bracket that government has extended it to.
Lovely.
You will be able, and I believe Wendy could corroborate this, but I do believe it also includes land purchasing and to build a house also, right?
Yeah.
It includes land purchase if you're constructing the home immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even if you purchase land and you come later on to construct, then you would get access to 2% and the 5% interest rate. There's one other thing that I wanted to add, in that this program also incorporates appliances, so that for your transaction, if you're purchasing a property, you can in fact access up to $20,000 to purchase appliances.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
I love it. So there you heard it, the Affordable Housing Program. It's on, so you can check it out. And of course, TTMF is making it even easier for you to own housing. The HDC doesn't necessarily have to be an HDC house.
No.
Once it falls into the brackets, and TTMF is also there to assist in mortgage financing of your property. Thank you so much, both
Thank
of you.
you very
Dike
much.
Noel, Manager of Corporate Communications from the Ministry of Housing, and Wendy Huggins, the Assistant General Manager Mortgage Origination of the TTMF. Stay